I'm going to talk about building a couple of houses. I built a house out on my dad's farm, and I did everything. There was nobody but me ever did any work to that house. I was the only one, and I got to tell you how I come by how I did all that. I talked to my dad and told him could I have a could I, we had quite a bit of the farm was facing on Barber Street, which is off of Dixon, which Dixon was off of Cheyenne Road, and it was in the county at the time that I asked my dad to see if he'd give me a lot that I could build a house on. And the way I built the house, now this is going back. This before I ever went to work for IBM. I think I was working for Chance Vault. I got to tell you about that before it's over with. But right now, I just want to talk about this house. I built two houses. I'm talking about this one. I built in Dallas County on my dad's farm. And the way that I got the cement to pour the foundation was I went to train yards and I took a tow sack and a little small whisk broom and a little thing that you pick dust, one of those dustpans with me, and I'd go to these train yards and I'd jump up in these box cars, and people that unloaded that cement would drop those cement bags and they would bust, and they wouldn't clean them up. So I did it for them. I didn't have to buy any cement to fix the foundation on the house that I built. I gathered enough cement, busted bags of cement, out of them box cars. I had a ton of it. I actually had more than I could use. By the time I tried to figure out, I did a lot of figuring. I figured out how much the foundation I was going to pour, how big a volume it would take to fill it up with cement, and then I got talking to some people in the cement business and tell them how much cement you would need to pour stuff like that. And now I needed gravel. I finally collected enough cement out of them boxcars that I had enough. I didn't have to buy any. Of course, I had to buy the gas and the time that it took me to go do all that, so it did cost me a little bit. It cost me gas money and a lot of time, my personal time. But then next thing I needed was gravel. So there was a railroad track that had washed out. It was kind of close to the farm. wasn't all that far away from the farm really. So I took a pickup. I had bought me an old pickup off of the guy I worked with, and it was an old, I don't know, 35 Chevrolet, I think. I'm not sure, but I had it running, and I went out and this railroad track had washed out, and it just a second here. It washed out, and it had washed out and washed all that gravel over off the railroad track. Well, I knew the train people wasn't going to come out there and dig all that gravel up, so I went over and I got that gravel. I put it in the back. I hauled load after load of gravel till I got enough to where I had way under more than enough to. I had cement and gravel. All I needed now was a mixer. So I broke down. I actually went and rented a mixer. It was a gasoline powered mixer, and because I would have had to have a real long extension cable to run a electric mixer, electric motor on a mixer. But this was a gasoline, and I had to buy a can of gasoline, to run it. And anyway, I started before daylight one. I built the farms to begin with. I built the farms by myself. Nobody touched that house but me. I was the only one that ever worked on it. But anyway, I built the farms, dug up around the house, dug underneath. And I poured an exceptionally strong foundation, about twice as big as it needed to be, because I had all the gravel and the cement I needed. I just needed a mixer and some water. Of course, the farm, I did buy an extra length of hose, because the farm had an electric pump by this time, and I went up and tapped into their water to get the well water out of the pump, so I had water down there. But I did have to buy a couple of extra lengths of hoses, which was, maybe $10, $15. I don't remember. Wasn't all that. I bought the cheapest hose I could get, because I was only use it once. But anyway, I poured that foundation by myself. I started one morning, one Saturday morning, because I was working. By this time, I was working jobs. I can't remember what job I was working at, to be honest with you. But I started early one Saturday morning, and it just, boy, as soon as I was light enough to where I could see what I was doing, I started working. And boy, I just barely got through with it. By the time nightfall come around, because I had a wheelbarrow. That's something else I had to buy. I had to buy a wheelbarrow. I could have used my dad's wheelbarrow up at the dairy barn, but they needed it. They were going to need it twice that day, so I couldn't borrow that one. And anyway, I bought me a wheelbarrow. I forgot that cost me some money. But anyway, I started by myself early in the morning, and I finished just as it got too dark to work. I poured the last one of the things, and boy, was I tired. Whoo, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Because I had to, I put the rebarb and everything in that foundation and tied it all together, and I did it. But how I did that is I went over to these where these contractors were building new homes, and they had them in every kind of stage you could think of. And I found a couple that they had just fixed the foundation with this. They fixed the foundation with this. Fixed the foundation with this. Well, they tied it all together with the rebarb in it, and I fixed it just like they fixed theirs, And anyway, I let it set, and then of course after the foundation set, I don't know, I let it sit there for 3 or 4 days where I knew it was really good and cured, and I wasn't going to hurt nothing when I busted the farms off of it. But I took all the lumber off the farms, and after the cement dried, and I laid all the lumber out. I tried to keep from busting as much of it I could to keep from busting it, because I could use it later, maybe in the house, So I took it all down, and I had a bunch of cement and a bunch of gravel left over, so I didn't have no drive-in to the house. So I went and bought about 3 of those culverts, I guess they call them, those 3-foot round pipes that you put. I put in there was a kind of ditch, but between Barber Street and my house, so I put those 3 big culverts in there, and I took the extra gravel that I had and I put it over that thing. I made me a gravel driveway before I even had my house built. Because I kept going getting gravel. I went a lot more trips over there to get some of that free gravel off the side of that railroad till I got enough gravel that I had made me a really nice driveway on my house before I even had the house built, But anyway, I waited for a while, and then I finally went and bought a bunch. It started costing me money, because now I got no way to get any free lumber. I had to buy that. But I went to the lumber. I figured out what I needed, and I'd go to lumber yards, and I would buy whatever I think I could put up in 1 day or 2 days, Saturday and Sunday on weekends, because the job I had was a 5-day-a-week job. Anyway, by the time I got that house built, which it took me 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, I don't know. But by the time I got it built, I owned it. I was 25 years old when I got it built, and I moved into it. Me and my wife moved into it out on my dad's farm. And boy, I got to tell you, the reason I did that, when I got out of service, out of the Marine Corps, my ex-wife always wanted a home with a sidewalk in front. What that meant was she wanted a house in a new development. Is what it amount to, you know. See, in these new developments, they made roads with cement curbs and sidewalks, and so I bought one under the GI Bill after I got back. And that house was around $50,000, I guess. And I sat down after I started getting my bills to pay for the house. I sat down and figured it out, and it was only a 30-year note. And by the time I got that house paid for, it was going to cost me $150,000 to buy a $50,000 home. And I told my wife at the time, I told her, look for us another place. You know, I ain't gonna sit here and give them $150,000 for this piece of crap that I'm living in. You know, so she found another home somewhere, and we moved in. It didn't have no cement. The one that I bought out in Mesquite, it had a cement sidewalk in front, had curbs on it, and everything. It was just everything, just like she wanted. You know, but I forced us to move into a home that didn't have no curbs on it, and it had a paved road. It wasn't cement paved. It was that black tire paved, but it was paved road. We moved, but it wasn't no curb and no cement sidewalk, you know. And it was a lot cheaper house, and it wasn't going to cost me no $150,000 to pay for it, you know. but anyway, I was a hard person to get along with. I really, my wife got the short end of the stick. I only married once. I never would marry a second time. The reason I didn't marry a second time, one of my number 3 son got in a lot of trouble. Plus he got cancer, and I took care of him for over 20 years. You know, I never remarried, because there was nothing going to come between me and me taking care of that boy, you know. And so I never remarried, because I wasn't going to get no argument with no woman, you know, over my son. But it eventually got him, and I'm kind of upset the way it happened. They claimed this place where I had him taken to work on, to treat him for his cancer. They pronounced him cured. They said it was cured. They said, come back and do a checkup in 6 months. Well, God Almighty, I never had such. I almost fainted. I was a grown man when they told me after he went back that 6-month checkup that it was all over, that the cancer had spread into his brain and there wasn't any chance that they could fix it, that he was doomed to die. And I've never been so hurt in my life, and I actually lost my leg on account of that. I did something I'll have to tell you one of these days. I'm gonna have to stop this, but I did something that I was very lucky to lose a leg. People I know would think, well, you got to be the dumbest thing in the world to say you're lucky to lose a leg. Well, it's better to lose a leg than to lose your life, and well, especially while you're sinning. But I'll let it go and stop this, and we'll talk about that later.